We are going to revise chapter Demand and Recovery from Vishal Bhattar's book. First, section 73 and 74 from a comparison chart. First, cases where show cause notice shall be issued. In case of section 73, short payment or non-payment or erroneous refund or wrongly availment or utilization of ITC by reason other than fraud, willful misstatement or suppression of facts. That is, any reason except this three will be covered in section 73. And for fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression of facts will be covered in section 74. Second, period of show cause notice. But before reading period of show cause notice, we should know the time limit for demand order. For demand order section 73, it has to be passed within 3 years from the due date of furnishing annual return or date of erroneous refund. That is, 3 years from the annual return. Annual return date is generally 31st December of the next financial year. In case of section 74, instead of 3 years, we have got time period of 5 years. Period of show cause notice in case of section 73, it shall be issued at least 3 months prior to time limit, and the time limit we have 3 years. That means 3 months prior to 3 years, that is 2 years, 9 months. In case of section 74, it should be issued at least 6 months prior to time limit, and time limit we have of 5 years, that is 4 years, 6 months from the date of annual return. We should issue show cause notice. Voluntary payment. The person who is chargeable to tax or granted erroneous refund may pay tax voluntarily with interest before serving show cause notice on the basis of this own ascertainment ascertained by proper officer enforce such payment to officer. That is, if we make voluntary payment before issue of show cause notice, then there is no such need of penalty under section 73. But under section 74, even if we made payment before issue of show cause notice, then also with tax and interest, we have to pay penalty of 15% of tax. Fifth, payment of tax within 30 days of show cause notice. If we make payment of tax within 30 days of show cause notice in case of section 73, there is no penalty. But under section 74, penalty is payable, that is 25% of tax. Next, finalization of demand order. When demand order is finalized, then penalty is payable is 10% of tax or rupees 10,000, whichever is higher. This penalty is fixed irrespective of fact that whether tax payable is making payment within 30 days of communication of order or not. But in the case of section 74, penalty is payable equal to 100% of tax. But if tax, interest and penalty is paid within 30 days of communication of order, then penalty payable to the extent of 50% of tax. Then section 75, general provisions relating to determination of tax. First, exclusion of period of stay. Where the service of notice or issuance of order is stayed by an order of a court, appellate tribunal, period of such stay shall be excluded in computing the period specified in section 73.2 and 73.10, or in section 74.2 and 74.10, as the case may be. Second, if charges of fraud is not sustainable, then appellate authority or court convert it in normal case. That is, if earlier we estimated it as a section 74 case, and then we get to know, no, this is not a section 74 case, then afterwards it can be converted into section 73 case. Next, order and direction of court to be issued within 2 years. If any court give direction to give any order, then such order shall be issued within 2 years from the date of communication of the said direction. Opportunity of being heard. As we all know, this is principle of natural justice, that in every case we need to provide opportunity of being heard. Then adjournment of hearing. The proper officer may adjourn the hearing, provided that no such adjournment shall be granted for more than 3 times to a person. Then a speaking order need to be provided, that is relevant facts on the basis of decision needs to be provided for. Next, demand order should not be more than tax, interest, or penalty specified in notice. This is an important point. The amount of tax, interest, and penalty demanded in the order shall not be in excess of the amount specified in the notice, and no demand shall be confirmed on the grounds other than the grounds specified in the notice. That is, whatever is given in notice is final. Once you have derived that tax, interest, and penalty, and what authority have given, authority cannot exceed that notice amount. It can reduce it, but it cannot extend it. Then modification of order by appellate authority. Whether appellate authority or appellate tribunal or court modifies the amount of tax determined by the proper officer, the amount of interest and penalty shall stand modified accordingly, taking into the account of tax so modified. Then next important point, mandatory payment of interest. Even if authority fails to give interest amount in the notice, then also interest is chargeable, and authority can ask for the same. Even if given in point 7, that in notice, tax, interest, or penalty, whatever is given, you cannot ask more than that. But then also, if interest is not provided in that notice, authority can ask for the same. Demand order must be within time. Demand order must be within time, that is within 3 years or within 5 years. Otherwise, the adjudication proceeding shall be deemed to be concluded. Next point, in case of appeal filed by department against prejudicial decision of the appellate authority or appellate tribunal or high court, period between the date of decision of the high court and that of the lower authority to be excluded. This can be understood in easy language like this: you have already given notice to the assessee but have not given order, as you are waiting for the similar case decision pending with higher authority which was earlier given in assessee's favor by lower authority. This we can understand easily like there was already a case going on between on at a lower authority level, but since we were waiting for the decision, that is, earlier the assessee was given assessee, a lower authority has given the decision in favor of assessee, and now the case is pending with higher authority. So we are waiting for the similar decision, and on the basis of that, we will decide that whether in this case we want further to investigate or not. Then at present we can give the notice, and we can wait for the other case which is similar to our case, and when the decision will come, on that basis department will decide that whether it want to start the proceedings or not. And penalty only once. Where any penalty is imposed under section 73 or 74, no penalty for the same act or omission shall be imposed on the same person under any other provision of the act.